Got abandoned at the airport by my family, so I cut off the financial support and watched their lives implode. Before we begin the story, take a moment to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support means the world to our channel and helps us spread more shocking true stories to light. Now, let's get started. The Golden Child versus the Scapegoat. I never thought I'd be the type of person to completely cut off their family. But after what happened 5 years ago, I didn't have a choice. I'm Ethan, 33 years old now. And my family? Let's just say they've always made it painfully clear where I stand. My younger sister, Emily, 30, has been the golden child since the day she was born. Perfect grades, perfect job, perfect husband. She could do no wrong. Meanwhile, I was just Ethan, the son who never quite measured up, no matter how hard I tried. It all started when I landed my first real job after college. It wasn't anything flashy, just a solid position in construction management. Good pay, great future. I was proud of myself. But when I told my parents Mark, 59, and Susan, 57, their response was, well, underwhelming. All right, my dad grunted. About time you started pulling your weight. That was it. No congratulations. No, we're proud of you, son. Nothing. Meanwhile, when Emily got her first marketing job straight out of school, they threw her a full-blown celebration. Balloons, a catered dinner, even a brand new MacBook as a gift. I didn't even get a text. This was my entire life. In high school, when I made the varsity baseball team, my dad didn't bother showing up to my games. But he never missed a single one of Emily's debate tournaments. While I became the first person in our family to graduate from college, they spent the entire ceremony complaining about how boring it was. But when Emily graduated, they rented out an entire restaurant to throw her a party. No matter what I did, it was never enough. But somehow, despite all of that, I still helped them whenever they needed it. And trust me, they needed it. The financial lifeline they never acknowledged. A few years after I started working, my dad decided to take early retirement at 58. Said it was for back problems. Funny how those back problems never stopped him from playing 18 holes of golf 3 times a week. But whatever his choice, what he didn't plan for was how quickly their finances would go downhill without his income. A few months in, my parents called me in a panic. We might lose the house, my mom said, voice trembling like it was the end of the world. The bank says we're behind on payments. And just like that, I became their financial safety net. I went to my financial advisor and quietly set up a plan to cover $800 of their mortgage every single month. But I never told them it was me. I let them believe the bank had cut them some kind of deal. Looking back, I don't even know why I did it. Maybe I just wanted to prove to them I was worth something. Then there was Emily and her husband, Adam. Adam was one of those finance bro types, the kind of guy who looked down on anyone who worked with their hands. He always made little comments at family gatherings, joking about how Ethan plays with dirt for a living while he manages real money. Except, turns out Mr. Financial Genius had garbage credit. One day, Emily called me, voice dripping with desperation. Ethan, we need a favor. Adam's credit score isn't great, and we're trying to finance a new car. Can you co-sign? I should have said no, but stupidly, I agreed. A BMW X5, a car way out of their price range. But I co-signed anyway, thinking they'd be responsible adults and make their payments. Yeah, right? Every few months, I'd get calls from the bank. Mr. Carter, the loan payment for the BMW is overdue again. And guess who had to cover it? Me. If I didn't, my own credit would take a hit. Emily and Adam didn't even know I was making those payments. They were too careless to notice. And the biggest financial burden? My parents' health insurance. When my dad retired early, his insurance plan was garbage. So I did something I never told them about. I added them as dependents on my premium work plan. $650 a month. For years, they had no idea. They never said thank you. They never even acknowledged that I was keeping them afloat. But all of that, that wasn't even the worst part. The breaking point, a car worth more than family. The moment that broke me, really broke me, was when my grandfather passed away. My grandpa was the only person in my family who ever really saw me. The only one who made me feel like I was worth something. I visited him every day when he got sick. Emily? She was too busy. She showed up once a week, maybe. But when he passed, he left me something priceless. his 1967 Mustang. We'd worked on that car together since I was a teenager. Every weekend, every summer, we'd be in the garage, fixing it up. It was our thing. And when he left it to me, I felt like, just once, someone had recognized me. But my family? They lost their minds. That car should go to Emily, my dad snapped. She was always his favorite. You don't even need it, my mom added, shaking her head like I was being selfish. Emily could really use it. Really use it? She had a brand new BMW sitting in her driveway. I told them all to go to hell. The car was mine, and that was the end of the conversation. Or so I thought. 2 days after the funeral, I went to my parents' house, where the Mustang was parked in the driveway. As I walked up, I noticed my dad crouched near the front of the car. I stopped. Something fell off. "Dad," I called out. He jumped, shoving his hands into his pockets. "Oh, hey, Ethan. Just checking the brake fluid." A chill ran down my spine. Something wasn't right. I took the car straight to my buddy's shop, just to be safe. And guess what? The brake line had been loosened. Deliberately. It wouldn't have failed immediately. But once I got on the highway, I probably wouldn't have been able to stop. My own father had tampered with my car. Over what? A grudge? A stupid sense of favoritism? That was it. That night, I packed my bags, got in the Mustang, and drove 500 miles to Colorado. I changed my number, blocked them all, ghosted my entire family. And for 3 years, I had peace. But the craziest part? I still kept paying their mortgage and insurance. I don't even know why. Guilt? Obligation? Maybe a part of me still cared. But I made sure they never knew it was coming from me. And for a while, life was good. A fresh start. Until they pulled me back in. Denver was my fresh start. I worked hard. I moved up to senior project manager at my construction company. My finances were solid. I even started dating an incredible woman, Tessa, a 31-year-old nurse with the kindest heart. The only family member I kept in touch with was my cousin, Ryan. He had always seen through the BS in our family. He even moved to Denver a year after me, partly to get away from them, too. Then, last Christmas, Ryan brought up something I never expected. "You know, your parents have been asking about you." I scoffed. "Yeah? And? They miss you, man," he said. "Especially your dad. He had a health scare, nothing serious, but I think it made him reevaluate things." I rolled my eyes. "Doubt it. Maybe people can change," Ryan insisted. "Maybe they finally realize what they lost." I didn't buy it. But over the next few weeks, he kept bringing it up. And after a while, a part of me started to wonder, what if they really had changed? What was the worst that could happen? So, after 3 years of silence, I unblocked their numbers and sent a simple text to the family group chat. "Hey, it's Ethan." And the response? My phone damn near exploded. My mom left sobbing voicemails. My dad said how much he missed me. Emily acted like we were long-lost best friends. They sent gift baskets to my apartment. They offered to fly me out to visit. For the first time in my life, they actually seemed like they wanted me around. And for some reason, I let myself believe it. For months, I eased back into talking to them. I kept things light, short calls, surface-level conversations. But they were different. My dad didn't make snide comments. My mom actually asked about my job. Even Emily seemed more genuine. And then, one day, they dropped the big invitation. A family trip to Japan. Our treat, my dad insisted, to make up for lost time. It sounded too good to be true, and I should have known better. Because it was set up and left behind. The trip was planned for New Year's. 2 weeks in Japan, Tokyo, Kyoto, hot springs, the works. I was skeptical, but after months of playing happy family, I thought, maybe this is real. Maybe they've actually changed. So, I took 2 weeks off work, spent $800 on luggage and winter clothes, and showed up at Denver International Airport with my passport and ticket confirmation in hand. I was ready, excited even, until I got to the counter, and the airline worker frowned at her screen. "I'm sorry, sir, but your ticket has been canceled." And just like that, I knew they never intended to take me. But the way I found out, that was the cruelest part. A cruel setup at the airport. I stood there, frozen, as the airline worker kept typing, her brows knitting together in confusion. "There must be a mistake," I said, forcing a smile. "Can you check again? It's a family reservation under Mark Carter." She nodded, clicking away at her keyboard. A few seconds later, she glanced up at me. I do see the Carter family reservation for the Tokyo flight, she confirmed. But your specific ticket was canceled yesterday afternoon. My stomach dropped. The rest of the party has already checked in and boarded. For a moment, all I could do was stare at her. The words barely registered. They left me. I stepped away from the counter, my hands shaking as I grabbed my phone and dialed the one person who had been handling all the flight details, Emily. She picked up after the second ring. "Hey, Mike," she answered cheerfully, like I hadn't just been told my family had abandoned me. "Emily, what the hell is going on?" I snapped. "The airline says my ticket was canceled." Silence. Then a soft chuckle. And the next words out of her mouth made my blood run cold. "Oh, Ethan," she sighed, her voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Did you really think we wanted you there?" I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. "What?" I breathed. "This was Mom and Dad's idea," she continued casually, like we were discussing the weather. "We wanted to see if you'd actually show up. Guess what? You failed the test." A sickening realization settled over me. This was never about reconnecting. This was never about making amends. This was just a setup to humiliate me. "You're kidding," I whispered, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. "You actually planned this?" Emily scoffed. "You abandoned this family for years, Ethan. You think you can just waltz back in because you feel like it? Mom and Dad might be desperate enough to forgive you, but Adam and I aren't. We opened their eyes to the fact that you were just using them again." My heart pounded in my chest. "So, you all planned this?" I demanded. "Dragged me all the way here just to cancel my ticket at the last second?" "Oh, that was actually Adam's idea," she said smugly. "We were going to ghost you, but he thought this would be more memorable." Then, with one final, smug laugh, she said, "Have fun spending New Year's alone, loser." And she hung up, left alone like an idiot. I stood in the middle of Denver International Airport, surrounded by families hugging, laughing, and preparing for their dream vacations. And I was the idiot who had let himself believe that my family had changed. My hands shook as I dialed my parents next. No answer. I texted them. Nothing. A full hour later, my dad finally responded. "Emily told us what happened. Maybe this is for the best. We'll talk when we get back." That was it. "No, I'm sorry. No, this wasn't our idea. Not even a pathetic attempt at an excuse. Just, maybe this is for the best." Like I was the problem. Like I had somehow brought this on myself. I don't even remember walking out of the airport. Everything was a blur. But at some point I called Tessa. She picked up on the first ring. "Hey babe, you excited?" They left me. Silence. "What?" she whispered. "They canceled my ticket. On purpose. As a joke." My voice was shaking now, not with sadness, but with pure, blinding rage. Tessa didn't hesitate. "I'm turning around. I'm coming to get you." I barely remember the Uber ride back to my apartment. All I know is that I sat there, staring blankly at my phone, watching the group chat fill up with Emily's fake apologies. It was just a joke. "You're overreacting. We were going to book you on the next flight. Chill. Can't you take a joke?" But my parents? Still silent. They were cowards. That night, as I sat in my apartment, replaying everything over and over in my head, something finally clicked. All these months of reconnecting, my parents constantly asking about my job, my mom accidentally opening my bank statements when my mail was forwarded to their house, my dad casually mentioning that I should add them to my accounts in case of emergency. They never changed. They never actually wanted me back. They just wanted my money. And the Japan trip? It wasn't about family. It was about pulling me back in fully, completely, so I could go back to being their walking ATM. And I had almost fallen for it. But now, it was time to burn every single bridge they had left, cutting them off for good. The next morning, I made 3 very important phone calls. First, to my financial advisor. "Cancel all mortgage payments to my parents," I said firmly. He hesitated. "You sure about this, Ethan? They're 3 months from foreclosure without your support." "I'm sure." Second, to the bank. "I need my name removed from the BMW loan," I said. The bank rep hesitated. "Sir, without your credit backing, they'll have to refinance at nearly double the current interest rate." Music to my ears. "That's fine," I said. "Oh, and remove my authorization for payment extensions. No more covering for their forgotten payments." Third, to my company's HR department. "I need to remove 2 dependents from my health insurance plan. I said. I could almost hear the relief in my HR rep's voice. Honestly, I always thought it was weird you were paying for your parents' insurance. Most people your age are still on their parents' plans, not the other way around. I also went through my accounts and canceled everything they were leeching off of. Netflix? Gone. Amazon Prime? Nope. Spotify? Canceled. Even the Costco membership my mom loved to brag about? Terminated. And just for one final petty touch, I called the luxury ryokan in Kyoto where they were staying and canceled the second week of their reservation. The week that I had paid for. The hotel agent asked if I wanted a refund. Absolutely. The fallout begins. 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a new text. Emily, WTF did you do? The hotel says our reservation is canceled. I smiled and ignored it. An hour later, another text. This time from my dad. Dad, there's some issue with our health insurance. The pharmacy says we're not covered anymore. Is this your doing? I typed out a single response. Hope you enjoyed your family vacation without me. Consider this my final goodbye. Don't contact me again. Then I blocked their numbers. That night, Ryan called me. They're coming home early, he said, laughing. Emily's freaking out about the car payments. The bank wants an extra $900 a month now. I smirked. Not my problem. And for the first time in my life, I actually meant it. The collapse of their perfect world. For the first time in years, I felt free. No more mortgage payments. No more covering for Emily's stupid BMW. No more pretending my parents gave a damn about me, just so they could keep bleeding me dry. And yet I knew one thing for sure. They wouldn't take this lying down. I spent the next few days waiting for the inevitable meltdown. And right on cue, Ryan called me a few days later. Dude, he said, barely holding back laughter. Emily is losing her damn mind. Oh, I said casually, sipping my coffee. What's she mad about now? Well, let's see. Her car payment jumped up by almost $1,000 a month. The bank is breathing down their necks. The mortgage company sent your parents a final notice about foreclosure. And, oh yeah, your dad's furious because their health insurance is completely gone. I grinned. Anything else? Oh yeah. Ryan chuckled. Your mom is crying to everyone in the family about how you financially abused them and then abandoned them. I nearly spit out my coffee. I financially abused them? I was the one who'd been keeping their entire lives afloat. Oh, and get this, Ryan continued. She said you ruined their vacation out of spite. Yeah. I smirked. Because they totally had good intentions when they stranded me at the airport, right? Ryan snorted. Exactly. But don't worry, most of the family isn't buying it. Especially after I told Aunt Lisa and Uncle Joe what actually happened. I laughed, shaking my head. The best part? I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was just done. But of course my parents weren't. The confrontation at my door. 3 days later, it happened. My Ring camera lit up with a motion alert. I glanced at my phone. There they were. My parents, Emily, and Adam, standing outside my apartment door, looking pissed. I watched them argue for a second. My mom was crying. My dad looked like he was about to explode. And Emily, arms crossed, scowling like a spoiled brat who just got told no for the first time in her life. I could have ignored them, but something in me snapped. I wasn't afraid of these people anymore. So I opened the door. The second they saw me, my mom lunged forward. Ethan, what is going on? First, the hotel reservation, then our health insurance. Now the bank says our mortgage payments have stopped. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. Yeah, that tends to happen when the person paying for everything cuts you off. My dad's face turned an alarming shade of purple. We've never taken a dime from you, he spat. That's when I pulled out the folder. I had been waiting for this moment. With a smirk, I handed my dad a thick stack of printed bank statements. Really? I said, because this says otherwise. One by one, I flipped through the pages. Mortgage payments, $800 a month, straight from my account. Health insurance, $650 a month, listed under MY Employer Plan. BMW loan payments. Every single time you forgot to pay. Guess who covered it? Me. 5 years worth. Emily's face drained of color. You were paying for that? I raised an eyebrow. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think the bank just forgot about your missed payments? Adam, the arrogant finance bro, actually had the audacity to scoff. "Look, man, you should have told us," he muttered. "That's on you." I laughed. "Oh, right. So it's my fault you two can't manage your own damn money." Emily's lip trembled. But we're going to lose the house." I shrugged. "Not my problem." My dad, still in denial, glared at me. "We're family, Ethan. You can't just cut us off like this." I met his gaze without hesitation. "Actually," I said, "I can." And I just did. Then I stepped back and slammed the door in their faces. Sweet, sweet consequences. A week passed, then a month, and one by one, their lives fell apart. One, the house. Gone. Without me covering the mortgage, they fell behind fast. Within 6 months, the bank foreclosed. The same house they had bragged about for years? Sold at auction. They ended up in a tiny rental in a part of town they used to mock. 2, my dad. Back to work. Since his early retirement plan fell apart, my dad had to swallow his pride and take a job as a mall security guard. Yes, the same mall where he used to shop for his designer suits. 3, my mom. Selling MLM crap on Facebook. She had never worked a single day in her life. But with no money left, she started selling cheap essential oils and protein shakes online, desperately trying to maintain the illusion that they still had a comfortable lifestyle. 4, Emily and Adam. Divorced. Turns out, Adam was horrible with money. After I stopped covering their car loan, their BMW got repossessed. Adam lost thousands in some crypto scam, and their marriage crumbled. Emily ended up moving to Chicago to start over. And honestly, good riddance. The final insult. About a year later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. But I recognized the handwriting immediately. My mom. Inside was a 5-page handwritten letter, begging for forgiveness. "We've learned our lesson. We miss you. Family is forever. And, of course, if you could just help us get back on our feet." I didn't even bother reading the rest. I took a pen, wrote "return to sender" across the envelope, and dropped it back in the mailbox. A few days later, Ryan called me. "Dude, your mom is telling everyone that you refused to even read her apology." "Good," I said. Ryan chuckled. "Oh, and get this. Uncle Joe overheard your dad bragging at poker night that they were going to make things right and get you to help them financially again. And that was all the confirmation I needed. They hadn't changed. They never wanted me back. They just wanted their ATM back. Moving forward without them. These days, I'm happier than I've ever been. Tessa and I just got engaged. I'm saving the money I used to waste on them for my own future. I even found another 67 Mustang, and I'm restoring it piece by piece, the way Grandpa would have wanted. And my parents? They still try to reach out through mutual acquaintances. They still tell sob stories about how I abandoned them. And every time, I send back the same message. "Have a nice trip home, losers." Petty? Maybe. But it reminds me of how far I've come. And I'm never looking back. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.